May I please welcome on stage Nishan Ali, Founder and Chief Executive Officer, Neurologic.AI. Thallapali, Chief Executive Officer, Call Health. Vikram Vuppala, Founder and Chief Executive Officer, Nephro Plus. Dr. Vidhi Bhanushali, Chief Executive Officer and Co-Founder, ScanO. And may I please invite the moderator of this discussion, Dr. Karthik Anantharam, Vice President, International Group Oncology and International Apollo Hospitals. Today our experts will share their thoughts on India's health tech revolution. Please begin by giving them a huge round of applause.
Okay, good evening. Thank you so much for that. I will still leave these two seats open for our panelists. I'm sure they're somewhere here and about to join us. But we have an excellent panel, and as we wait for Mr. Hari and Mr. Vikram to come in, I think this is a great session. What better way to maybe have the final panel on healthcare technology. So the topic that's been given is India's health tech revolution, rising from local to glocal. I think it's a fantastic way. We are here, and I think you must have heard about the recent developments that India has made in health tech. Very close to this place in Vizag, we have what is called the AMTZ, or the Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone, which is India's only full-fledged self-sufficient medical technology device and manufacturing SEZ, or a special economic zone. So it's a great achievement that this neighboring state has actually offered to all of India. And we have an excellent panel today, and these are very, very accomplished people. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Vidhi Bhanushali. Dr. Vidhi is actually a dentist at heart, and she is a tech innovator by passion. And she's a leader shaping the future of oral health, and she's the CEO and co-founder of ScanO, which is actually a dental diagnostics organization, tech organization, which makes smarter and more precise decision and diagnosis through AI. And she is bringing accessible solutions to patients not just in India, but also in markets like the United Arab Emirates, in several markets across Africa and Southeast Asia. So welcome, doctor. I also have the pleasure to have Mr. Nishan Ali from Neurologic.AI. So he has earlier worked with one of the largest healthcare companies, the United Health Group. And yes, now I welcome our co-panelists. Welcome Mr. Hari, Mr. Vikram, pleasure to have you here. You're just in time. Just was introducing the August panel we have here. So coming back to Mr. Nishan, he runs this company called Neurologic.AI, which he founded together with his co-founder, Mr. John Gillot. And this company specializes in artificial intelligence-based solutions or algorithms that's trying to solve complex healthcare problems, which includes building foundational healthcare models for disease identification, possibly early disease identification, I suppose, using applications, commonly used applications like X-ray, computed tomography, mammo, magnetic resonance imaging, and pathological data. So welcome, Mr. Nishan. I also have the pleasure to have one of the very senior healthcare leaders from Hyderabad, Mr. Hari Thallapali. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Smart Health, which is one of the leading, Call Health, one of the leading technology health tech companies based in Hyderabad, has been extremely successful in last mile healthcare service delivery in this part of the country. And also a pleasure to introduce Mr. Vikram Vuppala. Welcome, Mr. Vikram, who is the founder, chairman, and managing director of a very popular company that's helping a lot of patients that have chronic kidney disease, so Nephro Plus, as we know. So it's a very august and a very distinguished panel that we have here. And staying true to the topic where it says India's health tech revolution rising from local to global, I'd like to start with a small anecdote, and I would like to pose using that anecdote to each one of our august panelists here as to how they have incorporated that in their business model. A little while ago, one of the leading technology companies in our country, GE Healthcare, came up with a concept called in country for country. ICFC is what we used to call it as. Now, what was the thought behind it? The thought behind it was for many, many years, healthcare technology was imported into India. India was truly not considered to be a hub of innovation and building new products and services in health tech. So this was one of the organizations that took the first leap of actually bringing what is called as in country for country, and that later on took a much larger form into becoming what is called as make in India but make it for the world. Which means that there are so many other economies, countries, which are similar to our country culturally, in terms of GDP, in terms of what the patients can afford in healthcare, and technology is a huge, bridge that bridges the gap in making sure that access is brought into many of these countries as well. So therefore, I will first start with Dr. Vidhi, that in her line of business, how has she adopted this concept of in country for country, and then later on expanding the horizon of that into made in India for the world?
Thank you, Dr. Karthik. I would like to thank the Times Group for arranging such a wonderful summit, getting all the stakeholders in one place to initiate these discussions and then eventually having outcome-based. Well, with respect to built in country for the world, I would like to present a small example. Let's go back a century. With respect to my discipline in dentistry, 100 years back, or even just 30 years back, India was importing literally everything. Whatever dental care that we are providing, right from the materials that we have to use every day to the high-end equipments, nothing was manufactured in India. Today, as you mentioned, we are manufacturing in the country and exporting out. There have been various programs which made that accessible, but with respect to one most important skill that we possess as a country, the technology skill, right? The talent with respect to technology. We've been leading the AI revolution, and by AI revolution I mean the ability to make healthcare accessible, more affordable, and reach it to the last mile in the country where all 140 crore people deserve it. If you look at the changing trend in dentistry, even today, more number of people have access to smartphone with internet, and less than half of them have toothbrush for their routine brushing. That means that affordability is not a problem. The problem was accessibility to oral awareness, accessibility to understanding the importance of what's going wrong into oral cavity and how is it affecting the overall health. And now through these technologies that we have built in India for the world, we are definitely seeing a change of trend where the awareness is increasing. Patient coming in for more proactive, preventive care is increasing rather than only corrective and cosmetic. And we be able to deploy our healthcare doctors, dentists for the world. When we see the situation in certain geographies like in the West, right, they're crumbling down. But we in India are standing strong, giving access to the entire world. Yeah.
Thank you. That's wonderful. If I were to pose the same question to you, Mr. Nishan, from a pure AI tech-led organization, how do you see this in-country for country model and then that kind of evolving into made in India and made for the world?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Karthik, and really happy to be here. Thanks to the wonderful audience as well. In my views, the problems in India are very, very unique is because we have a huge population of 1.4 billion people spread very unevenly into different regions and geographies, having largest pool of villages. Like there are, I think, 600,000 plus villages all across India. So the problems that we see as an Indians are also very, very different from the perspective of AI applications. I'd say just because the problems are very unique and the solutions has to be very unique as well. So from that perspective, providing care to all of those remote places, that is something, a problem very specific to our country along with some of the other countries as well. AI can really play a very big role in order to do early diagnosis, doing preventive cares. If I have to give you some examples, I was reading through some of the research papers recently. There have been some, let me take that example of brain stroke, which is one of the lethal causes of death in India. Like this, probably the third most lethal cause of death right now, and sixth most cause of disability around Indians right now. There have been some certain remote operations done through a private company in Assam, where there were no hospitals, hospitals and like neurologists present. That's because India has a huge scarcity of neurologists too. Like, if I'm not wrong, this is one neurologist per million Indians. That's the bad ratio that we have right now. So imaging was done, and AI models have predicted the brain clots, and within a matter of a few minutes, results were out if somebody is suffering from brain stroke, which is very lethal. And what we know with the medical sciences progression, that the hour after the stroke is very crucial. That's called the golden hour as well. So if we are able to use some or other form of AI where doctors cannot really reach, to diagnose patients with imaging and provide them preventive cares to recover, that's a very unique problem to solve. And that particular region in Assam was able to solve it with 97% accuracy in order to understand the blood clotting over there, which I believe is a very unique problem that we have solved in our country. And that can teach the entire world and become a true global solutions in a way.
Thank you. That's very insightful. Now I'll come to the story of Call Health. Mr. Hari is here. He's been leading this organization from the front for many years now. And this, as many of you may know, is a new age healthcare services company. And they built the world's first integrated platform that combines physical, virtual, and artificial intelligence enabled healthcare services in a very patient-centric manner. So my question to Mr. Hari is that I think before this panel, we heard a lot of good words of wisdom from our Honorable Governor, from our IMA President, etc. about Gaon Chalo, how do we improve access to rural healthcare, etc. And as we understand, the business model and the way how Call Health delivers its services is very apt in terms of enhancing access to healthcare even to the remotest parts of the country. So we'd like to hear from your experience, sir, about how Call Health is not just revolutionizing healthcare service delivery in the urban setting, but also into the remotest part of the country, which is where the true need is.
Thank you, Karthik. First of all, apologies to all of you. I know that this panel is in between your good times and the rest of the evening, but we'll finish soon. 2 points that come to my mind when we talk about capabilities that we bring in this country, which potentially is not only extrapolated throughout this country, but can be taken to the rest of the world. I believe there are great gadgets and devices that, interesting and innovative companies like Vikram and others here in the panel, they are bringing to the world. But the question is, how do you take it to the last 100 million people? Not the first 100 million people who live in the 8 metros. That's not a big thing. But how do you take it to the others? And that's where companies like us come in. And we come in with a principle which I think is very important for us to look at, that the principle is whatever can be done virtually should be done virtually, right? And whatever requires a physical touch, we should find a way to deliver it at home. That's the capability that Call Health has built by bringing in not only virtual platforms that enable us to connect with people in the remotest corners, but also helping us to bring in people who can go home and, do things which otherwise they had to go to a center and do. Now, this is a capability that we have repetitively done over the last few years. Now, on an average, we do 25,000 touch points with customers every month. Almost 40 to 50% of what we do comes in what people refer to as tier 3 and tier 4 towns, which means they're really inside. And we have people who are distributed, and we have mechanisms that let us know that somebody requires this service and somebody has started for the service, whether he or she has reached on time or not, and so on and so forth. Now, visualize that capability with fraud detection, with capabilities to prevent impersonation, and so on. So now, when you build capabilities like this, there are about 5 billion people across the globe who have similar challenges like what we have. And the way to look at this is to see whether these capabilities that we bring to the table can be taken and implanted into other countries and extrapolated into other countries. I think that's a huge opportunity, and that's something that we are looking to do. So 2 things that I would like to summarize before I hand over back to Karthik. When we think health tech, most of us think products. I think that's a flaw. Products is one important dimension, but services is another very, very important dimension. Because there are certain countries in the world where they allow us to do a doctor consultation or a data capturing sitting in India. So there are things that you can do not only for this country, but you can do from here for other countries. And of course, there are capabilities that you can take to other countries and implant it out there. So I believe some of the capabilities, technology-led capabilities that we bring in healthcare, lend themselves to excellent options for countries and other locations outside India. And we can talk about it if there is time, but I see there is pressure on time.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Coming to the story of Nephro Plus, I think it's been a very, very inspiring one for many, many entrepreneurs. Thanks, Mr. Vikram, for putting this together. Maybe a few facts and figures that I could gather online is that Nephro Plus, being a huge chain of dialysis centers, is set to reshape dialysis care in not just in India, but in several other markets where today they have served over 30,000 guests, or as you call guests, not patients. That's great. I think it's a great way of looking at how healthcare has moved into healthcare consumerism. So treat them as guests. And you have it across a network of 460 centers spread across 280 cities. I think a great example of penetration and access into the smallest parts of the country. And not just in India, but in 4 countries. So I think this success story that you've had with Nephro Plus fits very well into our topic of how Nephro Plus has risen from local to global. We'd like to hear your best practices around it.
Sure. Thanks for inviting me to this panel. Glad to see on a Saturday evening people interested in listening to this panel. We run today, as of today, 475 clinics across 285 cities in 4 countries, serving about 32,000 guests across this network. We started 15 years back in Hyderabad with the first facility, and when we started we didn't realize that it would scale up to this level, but just put our heads down, did a lot of private equity fundraising over the last 15 years, and about 5 years back we realized that when you have to work with Indian price point of, let's say, 1,500 rupees or $20, we understood that we have built a lean and mean platform which is not only relevant for India, but it could actually make a huge impact in other emerging economies. So 5 years back, we went into Nepal, and then we looked at Southeast Asia. We looked at Philippines as a very good market, 110 million people. Price point is much better than India. It's today 5x the price point of India. And of course, our economics are much better in Philippines compared to India. Now, what we leverage from India is the volume that we have built across the country. It gives us a huge procurement power. The tech that we have built, we are not a tech-driven platform, but tech-enabled platform. The lean and mean IT system that we have built over the last 15 years has served us well to very efficiently deliver care in other markets as well. Now, we took this platform, and when we impose the cost structure in other markets, of course adjusting for regulatory costs, the human resource cost and so on, we realized it's much more profitable to the network compared to in India. Now, India is the core engine, but we will, other than deriving volume and expertise and everything from India, we will make this impact in select markets. For example, 2 years back we went into Uzbekistan in CIS region, and we are the largest dialysis provider, private provider in Uzbekistan. This year we are planning to launch in Saudi Arabia. We took it as a challenge to compete with the world's largest networks. And again, I think competition is good. When you compete with the world's largest, world's best, your quality protocols, your expertise, your efficiency platform, the way you extract efficiency will also be challenged. So we love to compete with the world's largest and compete, and we beat them in Uzbekistan. Hopefully we'll beat them in Saudi Arabia. But I think India gives, while it's very challenging market to deliver supranormal returns, it gives lot of expertise and the know-how to be successful in the rest of the world as well. And we are very proud to say that we are the only healthcare delivery company from India which derives more than 30% of revenue from international markets. So serving other markets is a big challenge because of various factors, but we love that challenging aspect and we continue to expand on the international front. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. That's very, very inspiring, Mr. Vikram. I also had one follow-through question for you. Because I'm a part of a healthcare service delivery ecosystem. What we see is that patients who are on frequent dialysis are also candidates for kidney transplant. One of the significant challenges that we face, so I'm a part of the international ecosystem, I have a set of colleagues that drive the domestic ecosystem, is we find it very difficult to find donors. While we have patients, the ecosystem of having very dedicated structured registries of donors is not well defined across the world. Now, is that something that organizations like Nephro Plus could take a lead potentially using tech integration, where we could also help these patients to eventually find a permanent solution?
No, absolutely. In India, organ donation is a very touchy topic, very sensitive topic, because the moment you regularize it, there's a lot of trade that happens in organ donation. So in India, there is very tight regulation on who can be donor, how do you prove that you're donating out of compassion and family relationship rather than economic considerations. I recently met the Union Health Secretary and I told him, in Nordic countries, when you take the driving license, by default, you are an organ donor. But you can fill a form, you can opt out of organ donation. So I told them that in India, if you keep opt out as a mechanism like Nordic countries, then legally you are authorized organ donors. When there is an accident case, when you are brain dead, then by default you are organ donor. That will increase organ donation significantly. But they said health is a state subject in India. It's not that straightforward. There is a lot of consideration. In India, unfortunately, there are many religious considerations where people feel that it's not good to donate organ. Organ donation is amazing. I'm an organ donor myself. It's there. It's just that the awareness around organ donation is significantly lacking. So we partnered with Mohan Foundation to increase awareness around transplants. We talk about transplants being the best quality of life option for dialysis patients. And we are working with the union government to figure out how, at least if few states start with opt-out mechanism, then other states will follow. But I believe that India, there are only 5,000 kidney transplants that happen for 1.5 billion people, which is abysmally low. But the government has to get the act together, because if it's not done carefully, then it becomes a trade. So it's not that private organization can quickly build a registry. it has to be driven by the government, enabled by the private sector, which we are trying to work on.
No, absolutely. I think the current regulations mandate related donors. There are countries like Turkey, South Korea that have taken a much larger leap with allowing non-related donors too. So maybe something to ponder about. But yeah, so I think that's great. Thank you. Now I move on to another critical topic. So we know about healthcare, tech, access, but at the end of the day, we also know that there is money required to access good quality healthcare. So there is a lot of disruption that has happened in the way how healthcare is funded today. So we just heard the previous panel speak about 1.8% of our GDP being spent on healthcare, and then there is a self-pay which further doubles it up to 3.6% of GDP, etc. But we've seen a lot of disruption in healthcare funding models, including what used to start as dedicated health insurance has moved into healthcare funding, which is now based on CIBIL score. And now there are artificial intelligence algorithms that are able to predict specific clinical outcomes in patients and then give differential insurance premium prices as well. So we have moved in that direction. So I'll start again with Dr. Vidhi, that in your business model, have you thought about disruptive healthcare funding models or healthcare financing models which enhances access to patients?
At ScanO, I would say we are not just disrupting the funding model, we are disrupting the entire workflow, right from the screening to the way treatment is delivered. I'll tell you why I say that. When it comes to dental insurance, have you even heard of that concept in India? No, because dental insurance does not exist in India. Most of the patients who take actions at a very late stage, right? And I think a lot of people here in the audience would agree, dental treatments is equal to expensive treatment. And why? Because action is taken at the very end stage, where we do not have the capabilities of saving that tooth. The only option remaining is to do a root canal treatment, or just extract that tooth, put an implant, or maybe do a full mouth rehab. The attrition of teeth is at such a level that we need a full mouth rehab, right? So the whole flipping the question from bearing that high expensive treatment to getting it diagnosed, to getting it screened at the very initial stage, which would not just save money, but eventually a lot of pain that a patient goes through and a lot of time which is spent on that scary dental chair, right? So, and you'll all be very shocked to hear that 90% of oral diseases are preventable. But once it starts, it's irreversible. So it doesn't reverse back. So let's take an example of cavity, right? At early the panel, we got that 18% of India's population is suffering from diabetes and hypertension. Any guesses what percentage of our population is suffering from dental cavities and gum problems? 75%. So out of 1.4 billion people, 1.1 billion are already suffering from issues. And you will be even further be shocked to hear that less than 9% of them are coming for treatments at the very end stage. So now imagine if this capability of screening is given to everybody's mobile, right? It's made scalable, where a person can just screen his mouth and within a couple of minutes understand what's his oral health score. We know our HB, we know our RBCs, we know our skin score, hair score, but what about oral health score, right? So you would know your oral health score, you know what oral type you have to use the right products, and you would have a specific set of habits that you need to inculcate in order to prevent that kind of pain, expense and time that you're going to put in. But since the prevalence rate is already high, 75%, talking about how can we work on that funding, it's not just about having accessibility of funds for a dentist to set up so that he can deliver care, not just in primary, secondary, but in tertiary markets, but getting that access of loans to our patients, right? Even today in India, we have very limited number of players who are giving that kind of funding options to the patients. They do not have it. Insurance, as I suggest, doesn't exist. But an additional point through these AI screening is, have you ever wondered why do not we have dental insurance in India? The answer is very simple, lack of data. we do not have data to assess risk, how would we underwrite the risk of that particular individual? Let alone having personalized premiums for individuals, apart from that set targeted groups that we do see in health insurances. So how AI is changing the game is now we do have not just one scan, but periodic scan of a single individual with various phases of his life, with various histories, which would help insurance companies to underwrite and assess the risk of that individual for premium, for personalized premiums. And it's already happening as we speak. In the developed countries, in first world countries, we are already helping insurers to assess this, while in India, we are enabling our partners to have that data, and not just the scans, but which are integrated with the insights. Now imagine out of 32 teeth, right, 4 are already grossly decayed and nothing could be done. But how can we save on to those 28 teeth? Because teeth are not just an individual part of your health, right? You will be shocked to know majority of the health symptoms and signs are seen in the oral cavity. Are you on a verge of becoming diabetic? Your mouth says that. Could you have a silent heart attack, by the way, which is a changing trend in the early 30s and 40s? Your mouth can signal that. During pregnancy, are you prone to preterm delivery, early delivery? Yes, your mouth can say that. But are we really integrating these data points along with other specialities in giving them holistic outcome to patients? I'm not sure. But time has come that we start doing that. And once we do that, obviously the part of insurance, personalized premium will be solved because we have the data, but we'll be seeing much better patient outcomes and a reduced burden with respect to oral health diseases, not just India, but globally.
I think that's wonderfully said. In very simple words, oral health is like a mirror to gut health and possibly overall health. So that's how it is. So that's great. Now I'll move a little into the rapid fire mode. So I'll move to Mr. Hari. We've seen that your organization has evolved from a B2C into a B2B2C organization. Healthcare, and this is a very pertinent topic. Some years back, any decision that a doctor made was considered to be godly. I think now with access to data, information and the internet, people are more aware and they have access to information. They come well informed. So healthcare has moved into healthcare consumerism. It's not just doctor driven anymore. It is people driven. It is consumer driven. Patients are more aware, have access to data, and so do their relatives. So with this changing trend with access to data, how do you see business models of Call Health, and I'll come to then Nephro Plus, where you have educated people with access to right information coming, seeking good quality healthcare. So what does that, what kind of impact would that have on your business model and your approach to market?
See, when we started as an organization, we started as a B2C company, and what we realized was that maybe the last 40, 50 years of structural processes had oriented us to be more of a curative, episodic kind of a country. If you know what I mean, we went only when there is a problem, like what my friend here was saying, Vidhi was saying. And the second was that you went for a problem, you got it sorted, and then you forget about the whole thing, right? So the continuity of care, or the preventive and personalized care, was something that we realized was not in our DNA. And to that extent, what we realized was that most of the services appeared to be more tuned to seeking it when I need it. We realized that that's not a business model that would help us establish and scale the way we would want to. So we decided to go to people who could help change this culture. So we found two predominant players. One is the payer universe, the whole insurance segment, and the second is the corporates. And we said that if we can work with you to move culturally into more of preventive and continuous care, that could help the beneficiaries or the people on the ground as well as organizations like us. because you are able to bring in data points across a period of time and do a longitudinal analysis of what is going right or what is going wrong, which is something that technology helps you do today. And like what Vidhi was saying, you are able to predict what can be your problem if you don't address this right now. So that's what technology is helping us do, and that's what we are focusing towards. We have found that to talk to payers is not going to get you the results. You also have to talk to the reinsurers on top, really. Because you have to come from there down to the insurers, down to the beneficiaries. So a lot of what we do now is B2B to C, and is focused more towards preventive, personalized, continuous care, and empowering the patient to understand where he or she is today in the health spectrum, and whether they can do a few things to improve their, what we call as the health index. So that's where we are pushing with technology, and hopefully, I mean, companies across the world are multi-billion dollar valuations today who are in this space. And that's probably where we can aspire to go to and take the solution to the rest of the world. So that's how I would.
If I were to pose the same question from a Nephro Plus perspective on healthcare becoming more consumer driven and oriented, so what's been the impact of that on your business model?
No, I love the fact that it's more consumerism in the play right now. The more the awareness increases, the more consumerism is at play, the better the clinical outcomes will be. Because the market will react to the pressures of the customers at the end of the day. If it's purely driven by the middle B, then the end customer will only receive care. They will not be able to shape the care. We believe that right from day one, we looked at it as while we partnered with hospitals, we partnered with governments to deliver care, our overall focus was on the final C, the consumer, the customer. And that's how the guest word was started right from day one. We use the middle B or middle stakeholder as a way to serve the final C. And right from day one, we have been focused on how to delight the customers, how to increase awareness among the customers about the various options. What does dialysis quality mean? What are the various options to improve, upgrade their clinical protocols? I believe consumerism is going to be much more focused on, much stronger force going forward. And we love the fact that more aware consumers, the more they are aware, the more they will demand from the providers. And the more they are aware, they will choose the right provider who is offering better quality, better service level. The problem we saw in India is that most of the times consumers are just receiving care in a very passive manner. And when people are not enabled, when people are not powerful enough to understand what is going on, what are the clinical issues, what are the service level issues, then they just become very passive and they die very quickly. The more consumer is aware, the more they are knowledgeable, they will demand the right care from the providers, and that's what differentiates Nephro Plus from the other providers. So we love consumerism. We are looking forward to even more consumerism in the future, and the more demanding the guests are, the more we are on our toes. It's actually very good force for us to deliver even more value, even more clinical outcomes, even more service levels if our consumers push us very hard. Yeah.
More power to you. Thank you. That's wonderful. Now I have a very interesting question for Mr. Nishan, whose company is completely around AI. Recently, I think most of you might have heard the news that China launched the first AI-driven hospital. Right? So the question is, would humans go to a hospital where clinical decision and prescription is handed out by AI? I don't know the answer to the question. I will ask that question to Mr. Nishan, that would AI one day run hospitals? I also have another question. I learned something new today, thanks to all of you. I had learned until generative AI. Now I understand there is something called agentic AI that has come, which has evolved from generative AI. So we would like to understand from you, what is the future of healthcare services delivery in this era of AI? And how do you see this would be like an emerging trend?
Yeah, sure, Dr. Karthik. Just to begin with, I'll start with what an agentic AI system is. It's about, like powering LLMs to run systems autonomously without either completely autonomously, or in semi-autonomously, where there would be a human in loop, but that human would be empowered by an autonomous system to make their decisions faster. Coming to the next step of your question, for that Chinese hospital, with the things that I have read so far, that's a wonderful approach that they have taken of creating a virtual hospital, having 10 agentic AI powered doctors and 4 agentic AI powered nurses. And guess what? Just in less than a month of time, they were able to treat 10,000 people virtually, which otherwise would have taken 2 years in normal course of healthcare system. So definitely this seems to be the future of healthcare. But again, coming to the reality is because AI in healthcare is something which is growing really fast, but there has to be a lot of regulations around the data privacy and the reliability. We as Indians we have learned and we have lived in an era where we actually treat doctors as gods who saves our lives for obvious reasons. And we have developed that trust in us, and it would be really, really hard at the moment to change that entire faith and trusting an autonomous system to do your treatment and take medicines from that system. Even though it could be correct, it may not be as well, is because even wherever there are AI and autonomous systems right now, there is a slight bit of risk, of course. No matter how accurate we are, there would be misaccuracies, and for that particular situation, we need doctors in place, staying in loop with the AI systems, so that even though AI could just help doctors as an assistant over here to make them empowered, to give them additional informations or even the entire analysis, but the decision has to be made by a qualified doctor, because it's after all matter of life and death of a human. And this is something I believe I'm not seeing in very recent near future this particular concept could be changed as such.
And again, I think as Mr. Subramaniam rightly pointed out in one of the previous panel, no technology will replace a human doctor. I think human doctor will continue. There is nothing that is, I think, more superior to a human brain. AI was also built by a human brain. And most importantly, clinical decision making and medical legal aspects need to be adhered to and conformed to. So therefore, that will continue to remain too. But thank you. Now, before we come to the final aspect of the panel discussion, I just have 2 rounds of rapid fire questions. You might just answer it in one single sentence, each one of you. For each of your respective businesses, many people think that investing in artificial intelligence is an investment. It's a cost. But there are people that believe that investing in AI is a revenue generator, and incrementally so. So please let us know, maybe in a statement, quick statement, how has AI proven to be not a cost but a revenue generator for you? We'll start with Nishan and then we go on the panel.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you see, my company is all about AI, so all the revenue comes from AI for me.
We won't ask you what your revenue is.
Yeah. But again, I mean, to do the value realization, AI is meant for efficiency. It's meant for having that particular gain of efficiency. If I talk about even disease identifications and in the world of radiology, right, the entire world has a scarcity of radiologists. Even in India, we have around, I think, 20,000 radiologists active, working with us, which leaves us to around 100,000 people per radiologist. With that particular advent, probably a radiologist would need to do 150 plus scans every day, which is almost impossible, right? Even in US as well, there is a scarcity, because we have been working in US market for quite a bit of time, over a couple of years, and the problem is all over the world, basically. What I see AI doing is to empower the people and making decision makings faster by providing extra bit of additional informations to the decision makers, increasing the efficiency, which means, like at the same time you can do more work. Definitely this is a multifold outcome which would be coming through it. Even if we just talk about the rest of the world as such, is because coming out of the healthcare and the larger group of the world. So there have been companies who are investing in AI and in agentic AI specifically to gaining efficiencies. I was just reading in a blog yesterday that Satya Nadella of Microsoft is the CEO of the Microsoft, who said recently Microsoft had written 30% of their code using agentic AI. Can you believe this? The entire company's code, which was developed in recent past, in a year or so, 30% of them was written by agentic AI. That's a huge number and huge efficiency gain. So definitely there are multifold return of investment which are supposed to be coming from AI. Yeah.
Great. So turning it over to Dr. Vidhi. So your quick rapid fire take on it.
I would keep it simple, backed by an example of already existing workforce that we are serving. More than 500 plus ScanO Air clinics using the technology who have served 1.2 million plus patients. And how do we justify AI not as a cost but AI as a revenue generator? 65% of our users have seen better health outcomes, spending less money because they are going for preventive care, regular scans. Because it's hectic and it's boring, plus it's also fearful to just go every 6 months for a checkup versus just doing a quick scan on your mobile phone and understanding the entire score, right? With respect to our partners, the Bs who are engaging our Cs, who are delivering these services, on an average, our partners have seen the revenue growth anywhere between 45 to 60%, depending on how and where are they leveraging. So what AI is doing is, instead of doctors sitting in the clinic waiting for patients to come, we are able to go where patients are. So with our AI robots, right, the robots are now deployed in malls, schools, colleges, corporates, housing societies and so on. So imagine the kind of impact and revenue growth for both the doctors and better health outcomes for our patients.
Thank you. So our MC is back on stage. That means that we really need to do rapid fire. But again, Mr. Hari, if you were to put it in one statement.
Yeah, no, I'll put it in simple terms. We work with about 1,500, 1,600 different providers across the country and deal with, like I said, 25,000 instances of interaction. The ability to identify fraud, the ability to identify mirror reports and so on is something that is humanly not possible. So AI helps us identify those and therefore better and sharper clinical accuracy in what we do. That's the first part. The second one is to, now we are in the process of building something which will help us connect different points of health, your medical history, your family history, your lifestyle, through devices that you wear. So we are trying to connect those so that we are able to provide a meaningful input to the customer, but that is still in a testing phase. It is still not launched. So those, I would say, is more around experience, not around revenue.
Mr. Vikram?
So right now we have leveraged AI only on the cost side. For example, our customer service is completely run by chatbots, AI chatbots. But I predict in the future a lot of sales engine being driven by AI, but hasn't happened yet. Only on the cost structure we have seen efficiency so far.
Thank you. I wouldn't ask the last question, but I'll talk on behalf of the panel. And MC, I'm mindful that you're here. So it was about the last part. The United Health Group, you were a part of UHG. So they've launched a new health tech startup fund. So naturally, they are looking for organizations. So what I've learned from some of our mentors as well is that I think all the successful entrepreneurs you see on stage here had their journey begin with a purpose. I think as long as the purpose of the startup is well defined, there's nothing stopping it. That's how I'd like to sum it up. But once again, thank you. You've been an excellent panel. If I were to sum it up, so in country of our country is here to stay, and in India, made in India, made for the world is here to stay. Healthcare consumerism is good for business, so that's there as well. Disruptive funding models is very important too. Data integration is important. AI is good, but not to replace the human mind. So human mind, human intelligence will continue to exist. So God bless. Thank you so much. You've been an excellent panel.
Brilliant. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for a very insightful discussion. I request our speakers to please remain with us on stage a little longer. May I please invite Ms. Pooja Sethi to kindly join us on stage to take this moment to present a token of our appreciation, thanking our speakers for their incredible time, their presence, and for sharing such amazing things that probably we've heard lesser. It is, I can say nothing replaces words when they come from experts in the industry themselves. And those were truly pearls of valuable wisdom that we have heard. And it has been such a pleasure to have our speakers join us today and to share their thoughts with us on this platform. What a wonderful day it has been. Can we please have a huge round of applause for them? Thank you, Ms. Sethi. And for the final time, let's have a huge round of applause for our speakers. That was a brilliant discussion that we just witnessed. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.